On the fourth Pesachim, we get a simple little story. A rabbi had heard tidings from distant land that relatives of his had died. Didn't know, probably had died years before, but he hadn't been in touch until he saw another relative who brought him the news. And so what does he do? He says to his attendant, to remove his shoes and then carry his clothes behind him as he goes to the bathhouse. Now, that's a very simple statement, very simple instruction on the face of it. But the way the Talmud works, what I really love about it is we can actually learn sometimes a lot of things from a very simple statement. So the Gemara says we learn three things from this little story. One, it's forbidden for mourners to wear shoes. That we continue to follow that law now. When you're in mourning, you don't wear shoes. He took off his shoes because he was in mourning. Therefore, clearly, we're not supposed to wear shoes when we're in mourning. That's one thing. The second thing is that when you have learned that somebody passes away, a relative you should be in mourning for, when you find out from like a distant land, i.e., usually when the person passes away, a period of mourning is instituted. But what if, you'd moved away from a place for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you get tidings of like a list of people who'd passed away. Like some of them had been dead for years. Do you have to do like a full mourning just because you happen to hear the news of who's alive and who's dead? And so it says when you have that, really the people have been passed away for a long time, and you get the news that you have only one day of mourning. And also that when it comes to mourning, that a partial day is considered like a full day. Now, how do we learn those two things? We learn those two things because he took off his shoes, so he went into a state of mourning. But then as an attendant, carry those shoes with him after him to the bathhouse, and go to the bathhouse is not something we do during mourning. So we see that he went into a state of mourning, but only for a partial day. He didn't do even a full single day. So clearly it must be that when you hear the news from a distant land, that a one day is the max, and that a partial day is already like a full day. We still follow that last rule. Oftentimes I'll see people who are in mourning and they have to sit Shiva, they sit in mourning for 7 days, but on the seventh day, they sit for several hours and usually get up from their mourning. They don't complete the entirety of the day. So these are three lessons we're able to get from really just one sentence about what a rabbi did when he heard bad news, tidings of somebody who passed away from a distant land.